Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas, Chicago, and Grand Rapids. In Chicago, it's stand-up and a live panel show. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to jimmydore.com. Here is a tweet that I found from someone who goes by Useless Tree. Says, I live in a city where Marine One used to land George W. and Obama for fundraisers. I witnessed it firsthand 3 times. The Secret Service would search every newspaper stand, put tarps over fences, have snipers on the roofs of adjacent apartment buildings, have snipers looking at windows of adjacent apartment buildings, all for a Marine One landing, walk to the limo, and departure of motorcade that took less than 5 minutes. They would tow all the cars from the adjacent lot. They would sweep the street for a mile for bombs the previous day. For there not to be a Secret Service agent on the roof is a massive tell. The rest of the story is even worse. So here there's no doubt that this guy being able to get on a roof within 100 yards or 150 yards of the president is crazy, that he was allowed to get on that roof. But even worse, crazy or suspicious or telling. Even worse, that there were people who saw this guy do that. Regular people, multiple regular people, not just one. And they were trying to signal the police. And here's one of those guys right here. Here's one of those guys.
You weren't inside the event, but you were just outside. Tell us what you saw. And
So we had a party here all day. You can see behind us at the Brinkles Farm and Greenhouse here. We had a party. And we all decided, hey, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees up there under the shade, and watch and listen to the rally. Right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking. I'm estimating here. I have no idea. But we noticed the guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2 or 3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service.
We were telling the police. We were pointing at them for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
So that's very suspicious and suspect, and it's beyond suspicious. Put it that way.
Yes.
That a regular guy who is close enough. He wants to hear the speech, so he's close enough where he could hear the speech, and the Secret Service don't have the roof he's standing next to in surveillance. Of course, they have drones. Of course, they have sharpshooters everywhere, and this guy got a ladder. And not only did he go up to one roof, but apparently he jumped onto another. Listen to what this guy says.
As Trump started, I noticed 2 officers that were looking for something or somebody. I was looking around myself and seeing a guy on top of one of the buildings go in between one building to the next, and went and told the officer that he was up there. And when I went back to my spot, I heard that people could still see the person from where they were standing. So I checked that out, and I went back to tell the officer that if he came over there, he could see them. And when I turned my back is when the shots started, and then it took me a second or two to figure out exactly what it was. And then it was just getting out of there and helping some other person out with her child, and we got out, and that was the end of that. And I went and left, and that was all.
So the viewers have some perspective. Behind us, okay, is the American Glass Research Company. Okay, can you kind of describe the building behind us, the tan building right there? Can you take a look at it? And then where was the shooter exactly?
There's more buildings behind the tan building that we can see, and we were back there, and there's two or three buildings behind that, and he was on both of them. I assume both of them when he went on that small section from one to the other, and that was where I last saw him, was the end of his day.
So this man was able to basically climb to the next building, and you told law enforcement, hey, there's a guy over there.
Correct. I don't know how he got up there. I don't know any of that, but I definitely saw him up there and the officer, and that was all I know.
Seems deep staged. Anyway, to coin a term. And here's one more piece of info. A source familiar with Trump's security detail tells the Federalist that the former and future president's detail had been asking for beefed up protection and resources for weeks, but has been rebuffed time and time again by Biden's Department of Homeland Security. The DHS, which oversees Secret Service protected detail, wasn't responsive to those requests for more resources. Was Biden's regime behind the attack, or did it deliberately do everything it could to allow it to happen? Developing. So that's from the Federalist. I'll just throw it to you two. What that seems to me beyond suspicious. The fact that multiple civilians saw a guy climbing on roofs and multiple roofs, by the way, with a rifle, and he used a ladder to get up there, and they were pointing, telling cops, trying to tell the Secret Service, you know they have drones, you know they're supposed to have every rooftop covered and window, and somehow for minutes and minutes, they missed it. They didn't until the guy shot. Yeah. Let me throw it to you.
Well, they should not only have them surveilled, but they should have them physically covered in a complex like that. Why isn't there a Secret Service body on every roof? It's not like there are that many buildings. It's not like you're in the middle of a city where there's 50 buildings surrounding a small park that you have to cover. You're talking about out in, a rural area, a few handful of buildings. If you look at the map, the building that the shooter was on was 150 yards from the stage with a clear, unobstructed view. How could you only have one guy on one roof near there? It doesn't make sense. You got to have a body on every roof, every single roof. I grew up in Newburgh, New York. Our airport is Stewart Airport, which also has an Air Force base in it. So every couple of years, the president would fly in if they're doing an event at West Point or in the Hudson Valley or upstate New York. And every time the president flew in, the roads were closed for miles in every direction. You couldn't drive a car within a mile of that motorcade. So the idea that this guy could climb up, and we don't know, did he get there through a ladder? Did he go inside the building and access the roof from the inside? The idea that he could get up there, and not only are there no bodies on each of these roofs, there's no eyes on him until a few minutes before? It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, guess which story the media is not reporting on? Guess what clips you're really not seeing?
This clip? You mean they're not reporting on these clips that I just showed?
You're not seeing a lot about how many witnesses are coming out and saying that they saw this. They're trying to orient it towards, Trump kind of brought this on himself with this violent rhetoric.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who was that? Who said that? You said that to me, Kate?
Well, ABC, George Stephanopoulos, and whoever the blonde woman is there.
Yeah,
who were talking about it. Yeah, I forget her name.
Yeah, they were trying to say he had created the atmosphere that
created the atmosphere.
Well, look, this is something, and if you see what the lib conspiracy theory that they came up with like 10 minutes later, and it's almost universal. It's insane. It's truly blue and on. It was staged. It was staged. Why would he stage this? He's burying Biden. Biden is demented. His brains are leaking out his ears. What would his motive be? And besides that, what kind of a shot would the guy have to be? Would you trust somebody to just shoot your ear?
Just shoot your ear
from that distance as a stunt?
So this is
insane.
This is very akin to when Bashar al-Assad was winning the war in Syria, and then he all of a sudden decided to use chemical weapons. The one thing that would trigger the United States to bomb him, all of a sudden, he only killed about 50 people with the chemical weapons, which he could have done with bullets and bombs anyway. So it doesn't. So this is that theory sounds much like this. Oh, Trump that's amazing that they're saying that Trump staged it. But let me.
Oh yeah. That is the main thing I'm seeing from lib chatter.
So here is we're going to get to that in a second, but here. So here, these guys are on the roof next to Trump, and they're looking directly at where that building is, and they missed it, even though there's people screaming and yelling, and they don't go code red, get the president down.
Right. That's their whole training. Their whole training is to be scanning for any danger, and the people on the ground saw it, and you didn't. Yeah, no, that's very fishy.
Here's what Thomas Massey said. He said the same bureau that investigated the Las Vegas shooting and the January 6 pipe bombs is now investigating the attempted assassination of Trump. This is also the same bureau that raided Mar-a-Lago. I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of this soon. And so here I'll show a little bit more. New video shows the moments before shots were fired, with witnesses screaming that a man has a gun, followed by rapid gunfire breaking out with Donald Trump speaking during the rally. So,
and you know that's a little bit.
So there's regular people spot this guy. Yep. You're telling me the Secret Service sharpshooters didn't spot this guy? They have binoculars. They have drone coverage. They are trained to do this. This is all they're doing. These people aren't looking out for a sharpshooter. They're looking at the president, and they see it, and they're screaming, and nothing happens.
Well, this is what I'm saying, Jimmy. Like, they almost have to suppress this. They have to. I would be shocked if the media gives this any meaningful coverage. The only way they will cover it is if conservative media makes it impossible to ignore. Sometimes they're able to force the mainstream media to cover something like that, but then they'll call it a conspiracy theory. Because once you acknowledge this, once you pull at that thread, the whole thing unravels. Once you concede that this is the deep state trying to take out Trump, it undermines their entire narrative about this election.
Well, the Republicans in the House have the power to investigate the Secret Service, which apparently they're going to do. So that will force some sort of reckoning, perhaps. But I see this video that's next queued up. So as you can see in this video, they do have eyes on the shooter, and they seem to wait for him to fire a shot before they fire back.
So let's watch. So here it is. This is 7 minutes and 21 seconds before the shot. So they're looking right at where that guy is, or where that guy is going to appear. They got binoculars. They're aimed towards that guy. There's not one guy looking that way and one guy looking the other way. They're both looking right at where that guy is. Okay.
That's when I left office. That was the lowest.
And this is 42 seconds before. They're down. They're already looking through their scopes. Now
they see him.
So it seems like they must see him.
They got to see him. Yeah, there's no question.
And so at least 42 seconds before, they're looking through their scopes. It appears to everybody that they already see this guy. Now, I don't know what the protocol is, but you would think the protocol is code red, get the president off the stage. You would think that's what the protocol is. We see a guy with a rifle on a roof. So it looks like they see him. Let's watch.
And that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
And they wait till they hear. So I think I can show this on YouTube because I'm not showing Trump getting shot. I'm just, all you can do is you hear it. So you hear, I'm not showing violence. You know, I don't think you're allowed to do that, right?
Well, thanks for the heads up because we were going to show it later. Now we won't.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
From you.
I mean, I don't know. They're showing it all over.
Keaton's theory is because of the nature of that, as you know, be like not showing the Lincoln assassination. Like, how do you? They can't. It's such a significant news event.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean, if he got killed, you probably couldn't. But yeah.
Okay. So here
it's
it
only
is.
A flesh wound.
So they didn't take the shot. It appears.
Right.
It appears they got the guy. They're looking through their scopes at the guy. They don't take the shot until after the guy gets 5 shots off. By the way, I had seen someone tweet out that they were heroes. I wouldn't call the Secret Service heroes on that day. There's a guy on a roof 150 yards away from the president or former president where there's only a handful of buildings and roofs around, and they don't get to him until he gets off 5 shots. Everybody else sees the guy. Everybody else saw the guy, except the people that protect the president. Those are not heroes. I'm sorry. Okay. So here's one more. Check out this angle. Counter snipers see something and engage. So here they are.
And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
So that's super sus. Hey, I'll see you on tour in Las Vegas, Chicago, and Grand Rapids. In Chicago, it's stand-up and a live panel show. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets, and make sure you go to jimmydore.com.